All right, welcome to another episode of This is the Bet. This is going to be a preview, predictions, what do you call it? Over under spread, all that good stuff on the Iowa State rivalry game. And yeah, it should be a good one.
Yeah, and before we dive into these high power, high scoring offenses, right? Which we is not the
Yeah.
case with Iowa State. Um, I would just tell everyone to, if you love this content, to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. It shows us that people actually care, and we just love doing this now. Like I said, this is not a high scoring affair, and we'll look at that. But
Yeah, we will talk
lead us
about
off,
that.
Brandon. Lead us off.
No, so I just want to kind of look at what we're going into. We've played 1 week of football. Iowa played Utah State. It's actually, we're from Utah, so one of our home schools. They won 24 to 14. It was their first passing touchdown to open a season or something in forever. So that's just like kind of the offense Iowa's had for forever is just not that high powered. But they had Caden McNamara come in from Michigan. We'll talk about him a little later, but he's kind of supposed to be the piece that helps them score more. Because last year they did not score that much. Defensive games always they won games, but it was always just because of their defense, not their offense. And they scored 14 points in the first quarter last week against Utah State, and then really just died, scoring only 10 points the rest of the game. Iowa State played Northern Iowa, Iowa school, so they're 2 weeks in a row playing Iowa schools. They won 30-9. They have some players suspended. We're going to get into that a little bit, but they have Rocco playing quarterback. He threw 13 passes, completed 10 of them, and moved the ball enough to score 30 points. What are your thoughts about these two teams coming into this rivalry game, Tanner?
Yeah. My first question is: do they hand out some sort of trophy for winning, for beating every team in Iowa? I always thought about that.
Yeah, they
It'd be
should.
it'd be it'd be cool to see when teams play other teams in the state. If you play enough over, if you played more than two teams and you're crowned the kings of Iowa or something,
Yeah,
would be cool.
there
But
is the CyHawk trophy here.
ah,
So
look
there
at
it is.
that.
This is a replica, but yeah, this is like a little one you could buy if you want a little piece. But
Maybe I think I
that's the
need
only
that.
trophy. But there should be a trophy if you beat every Iowa school. I
Yeah.
agree.
I like the Kings of Iowa. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So yeah, diving into this game, I know you had said Trump possibly being in
Yeah.
attendance as like a kind of comeback tour, baby.
Yeah. Trump is in attendance. He was formally invited to this game, and he said he's going to be there. So we'll see if that adds to the atmosphere at all. Controversial figure, whether you love him, whether you hate him, he's going to be there. So
He's gonna be there, and I
it's a
love
rivalry
this.
game.
I would not be surprised to see uh, at one of the boxing matches there was a prop bet for how many times it would show Trump, and
Uh huh.
would Trump give a thumbs up or something. I'd love to see some books throwing out some of these Trump props. It's just a hoot. The things you can bet
See,
on the right
I
site.
wish I wish this game was uh, at the Hawkeye Stadium because then he could do the wave at the Children's Hospital. You've seen
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be cool. But this one's at Iowa State, so it's a home game for them at Jack Trice Stadium. So Trump's going to be there. We'll see if that affects anything. We'll see if there's any. I haven't seen any prop bets up yet for that, but maybe there'll be a thumbs up prop bet we can talk about.
Yeah. Little thumbs
But
up. The dancing.
yeah, yep, this one. Getting into I'm calling this the betting scandal rivalry this year because both teams have had players caught up in betting scandals where they've bet on college games but also on their own team, and this was last year. And so Iowa State starting quarterback is out. They've got some other players out as well. Iowa has a couple players suspended as well, so that's kind of affecting this game. The one thing Iowa does have is Caden McNamara, an experienced quarterback, and Iowa State has Rocco, and you have a little point about Rocco, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Rocco Becht.
what a name, Rocco. Like, we've seen there's some cool names out there. I know there's General Booty, if you've seen that
Yeah.
name for Oklahoma, and
Yep. There's some
there's some
crazy
good names
names.
out there, but I like this Rocco. And so he's coming in the QB position because, like we said, quarterback was caught up in some of the betting. This is a freshman who saw a couple of snaps last year, but nothing major. Comes into the game. We talked about he throws, what was it, two touchdowns
2 touchdowns,
through, it
10
was
through
10
13 passes,
completions,
completed 10. Yep.
10. And we said very efficient, getting it done. As Kevin from The Office would say, why use more words when little can do? That's what I have to say
When
about
few words do
Rocco.
trick, yeah.
Yeah, why throw many passes? You know, if they can get it done, it's not a team known for throwing up crazy numbers. It's not a TCU. They just need somebody in there that's gonna put up some, at least 2 touchdowns, and we'll get to what my prediction is, but 2 touchdowns could do it to win this game.
Oh, yeah. I have one thought about Rocco from last week, which was you said efficient, but I say he didn't make mistakes. Only had 3 incompletions, threw 2 touchdowns. And sometimes that's all you need is a quarterback that won't make mistakes. If your defense is good enough, and your running game is good enough, you just need a quarterback that can get in there, throw the passes, complete the third downs, whatever it is when he needs to, but not throw interceptions or turn the ball over. And Rocco did that really well. Threw for only 113 yards, but that's averaging about 10 yards per completion and moved the ball when he had to. So
Yeah,
Rocco.
Rocco,
So that
Rocco the Rock. They don't call him that, but
yeah, the
why not?
Rocco factor. Yeah, he's not much of a runner. He only ran the ball 2 times last week for 10 yards, but he can move out of the pocket when he needs to, and that could be good enough for Iowa State. But going from the offensive side of the ball to the defensive side of the ball, what do you think about the defensive matchup in this? That's kind of the highlight of this rivalry for years now is the defense.
And here's the on slide prompt: defense, defense, defense. I want to first highlight Iowa with their defense. This Iowa team, third last year, allowing 14.2 points per game. Speaking of defense, the Hawkeyes have their starter Cooper DeJean. I looked this guy up. What a beast! Who came back this year. Cooper had 4 interceptions, 68 tackles, and is on track to be drafted in 2024, finishing near the top of the top 50 project. What they're looking to see who goes. So we know it's a good
And they,
defensive squad.
as a Packers fan, one of their defensive ends, Luke Van Ness, was actually drafted in the first round by Green Bay. So they're known for pumping out those great defensive players, and it seems like they're just continuing to do the same this time in the secondary. What are you had more thoughts on the defense though?
Yeah, that was it for that one.
Right,
We
14,
saw Utah State put up
14.2
14
points is
points.
crazy.
Yeah, and what did Utah State score? 14.
14,
And that's
so
a
right
Utah
on cue.
State team that I think was on, what was it? They were scoring around 30 points, I think I looked up last season. So held to 14. We know Utah State because BYU plays them. Utah State always scores points against BYU, walks all over them. So seeing them take what I've seen played here in Utah, taking it to Iowa, scoring only 14 points. It's a defensive school, and that's also what Iowa State, another defensive school. Last season, opponents averaged only 21 points per game, so 7 more than Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked into that 21. What actually led to that? And something interesting was one of their games against TCU, they let, I think it was 65 points up. Okay, that was the TCU team that went on to felt like they had a very special season, made it to the playoffs, that was scoring a lot of points. We just saw them put up 40 something against Colorado. So if you
Yeah.
took away that 65, the number of the average dropped down to something like 16. And this was against some Big 12 teams, Texas. The other one was Oklahoma. So we had talked about it earlier that this is an Iowa State team that held some Big 12 teams to close games. It's a defensive. So like it says, defense.
Yeah.
I see this game being one of those back and forth, not with scoring, but with stops, which I feel is an art. It's an art that is going away in college football, is the art of the defense. Just tough football. So
Yeah, Iowa, the Hawkeyes have kind of always been somewhat of a joke, the butt of the joke on Twitter for being boring because the offense can't do anything, but the defense has always been kind of the identity of the Hawkeyes. But I would say it's kind of been the identity of Iowa State as well. Is we don't win games by scoring more than you. Like that's not the mindset. Is like we're going to score more than you. The mindset is you're not going to score as much as us. I feel like that's a different mindset, which both teams kind of have, where it's we're going to kind of stop you. We're going to make you struggle. Nothing's going to be working against us, and it's going to be just enough for us to win the game. So speaking of a defensive battle, I can pull up kind of our stats here. Look at that over-under. I've in college football almost never seen it this low, and I think you have a point there. How low can you go, Tanner?
yeah, so here it comes. I'm going to show it. How low can you go? My brain, when I see something like that, 36.5, it just it's like seeing those games in basketball. I believe it was Virginia that had a really low scoring against opponents.
They play really slow. Yep.
Because they would hold the ball. And I remember my first time seeing an under like that, I was like, there's no possible way that can actually be done. But here is Vegas putting it at 36.5. And I put how low can you go, and I'll dive into it. I see this game being 17-3. We'll go into who I think wins it a little later when we talk about some stuff. But I said 17-3, which is what, 20, which would be that points. Under. And so that's why I said, how low can we go in this game? Seeing that the last time they played was 10-7 was the ending score?
Yep, it was 10-7.
17 points.
An interesting point that I did mention earlier, the road teams have generally been the teams to win.
That's an interesting trend.
Yeah.
Something to look at.
So I think it's been the past few matchups, actually, that the road team has actually been the one to win. So Iowa's on the road against Iowa State. See if that trend continues. It could just be a coincidence, but interesting thing to look at. With this over-under at 36.5, I saw this and I was shocked at the number, but also when I saw the two teams playing, you're not that surprised because, like you said, Iowa held opponents to 14 points, and then Iowa State, minus the TCU game, held them to 16 points, so that's 30 points. So it's kind of what you'd expect, but one of my thoughts on this is I think it's actually going to be the over, and so we kind of differ on that. So going into the spread, so you've said the under, I've said the over. What are your thoughts on the spread at 4? Iowa on the road against Iowa State, still favored by 4. They're the ranked team. Iowa State's supposed to kind of finish bottom half at least of the Big 12. What do you think about this rivalry game, the CyHawk trophy on the line?
Yeah.
So you said 17-3s. Now you're going to tell us who.
Now I'm going to tell you who. Win. I have Iowa. I have Iowa 17, Iowa State 3. And the reason I have it this way is I'm buying into the stock of Cade, the quarterback. This is a guy that is coming over from Michigan and was and actually when I was looking back, I totally had forgotten that he was even a thing, which is embarrassing to say, but in the QB position, transfer from Michigan in 2021, he threw 2,470 yards, 15 touchdowns. He had a QBR rating of 75.4, and he led the Wolverines to a 13-2 season with losses to who? Number 8, Michigan State, and number 3, Georgia. So he's no slouch. He's got the experience. And so I said I'm buying into the stock of the new QB with the firepower he has to put up some points being 17, and having this game 17-3 with the defense coming up strong and hitting that under and covering the spread.
Yeah, McNamara is, to me, he's the real kind of key piece to Iowa's offense. And Michigan was a playoff team last year, if I'm correct.
It was
to
yeah. So 2021 they were in a playoff, I believe, and then in 2022, let's see,
they were in the playoff as well, I think, and I think they lost to TCU in the semifinal.
I should be able to remember this.
Yeah, so they played in the semifinal game for the playoffs. TCU won 51-45 in that game against Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. So McNamara's got experience. He's been in the playoffs. He's won games. He's had great coaching. I think Jim Harbaugh's a great coach. He's at Michigan. Great coaching. Transfers to Iowa, kind of to be the guy.
Yeah.
So,
because he had a knee injury last year.
Mm-hmm.
He had a knee injury, took him out, and then I think they were going to give the starting position away. Yeah, and so then he saw that he could thrive somewhere else and try to give life to this Iowa team.
Yeah, and I think he can do that. But at the same time, I got a hot take, Tanner.
Oh, let's hear it.
Iowa State upset. I don't know what makes me want to pick this, but my prediction for a final score is 20-17, Iowa State. So still, low scoring game. That's 37 total points, just barely hitting the over. And I think this is just going to be a defensive battle, and it might just be a field goal here, stop, touchdown there, stop, field goal, that kind of game. And I think Iowa State being the home team, I think they're ready to win at home in this rivalry. I think Iowa comes a little unprepared. Iowa State does just enough to win this game. Rocco is efficient, doesn't make the mistakes. I think McNamara Magic is a thing, but I think he also has a key turnover that really changes this game. And it's a defensive. Yeah, it's going to be the Iowa State defense coming up with a big turnover, and that's kind of the difference. So that's my hot take. Iowa State with the upset. I would probably take the money line here.
So prop bet for you.
Yeah.
If they are to post it and they put the interception, it's always 0.5 usually when we see it. I just said always usually. I've seen it at 0.5 for the quarterbacks. Would you take that then with how you're seeing? You said that you saw a turnover being pivotal. Is that something you'd look into? Is an interception for one of these quarterbacks?
Oh yeah, I think McNamara is going to throw one. I think it's possible Rocco has a turnover. I'm not saying he's going to play perfect, but I don't think it's going to be a key turnover.
Okay.
I think Iowa State, it might be a late game. Iowa driving down the field to take the lead. Iowa State interception. Or Iowa's got the lead fourth quarter. Iowa State interception puts them in good field position. They're able to score. Something like that. So I would take that bet, that prop.
Okay. He threw 4 in 2021, so we'll see.
I just that's my.
You got a feeling. I agree with you. I'm seeing where you're going with it.
So that's how I see this matchup. I think it's going to be a good game regardless. It's going to be a defensive battle. I think we both agree on that. I just barely have this overhitting where you are taking like the under, which is almost hard to do because it's so low.
The under.
Yeah, the under.
It kills me to even throw something like that up. But because usually, whenever I've never predicted a team to only score 3 points unless it's Tennessee State against Alabama or
Yeah,
something. You
it's
know
a
what I mean?
blowout. Yeah.
Like, but I believe in them. See what
So
happens.
we're on different sides of the coin on this matchup. So I'm going to be a Cyclones fan on Saturday, and you're going to be a Hawkeye.
Yeah, and cheering for a
Who do you
brutally
think?
low game.
And who do you think Trump's going to be pulling for? Do you think he's a Hawkeye fan or is he a Cyclones?
Because you said it was the governor that invited him, right?
I think let me just double check that.
Okay. Because then has the governor declared his team? Because that would not be very polite to cheer for the other team than who invited you. You can't go to your buddy's
Here you
house
go.
who's a Packers
So
fan and cheer for the Bears, right?
it was the former attorney general for Iowa, and the guy who invited him is a former Hawkeyes tight end.
Okay.
So he could be going Iowa. So do you think a Trump endorsement, is that a good thing or a bad thing for Iowa?
Yeah, probably a good thing. He's got to cheer. He's got to cheer for Iowa then, but that's tough because he's in the Iowa State. Good prop bet for you. Is it a red tie or does he have a black tie for a black and yellow? I couldn't see Trump in black and yellow, but
What
wouldn't
about
that
yellow
be?
tie?
Yeah,
Has he ever worn a yellow tie?
I've only seen him red or blue. Usually they only steer towards those not too open ones, but
He's done it. He's done it before. I'll pull this up. So it's possible he could come out with the yellow tie.
ooh,
Looks like when he was swearing in, he wore a yellow tie. So when he got blown away by the wind, there's a thumbs up. Will this happen? Do you think this is going to happen on Saturday?
there it is. Yeah, here's what it's going to be. I'm calling it right now. Book it. Here's what it's going to be. Camera, Trump. The little thing says, and President Trump in attendance. He'll give the clap, thumbs up. His go-to little,
Yep.
just like
I
that.
could see it.
And then I'm dropping like 200 units on it and just retiring early. So
Yep.
you probably won't see me next episode because I'll be gone. I'll have it made.
Yeah, you won't be wasting your time on this stuff.
No.
But I'm putting this in the thumbnail for sure.
That's great.
No, but that's our matchup. So I think we're going to do a few more games throughout the week, but these are our first two, and then we're going to compile them into a longer video and kind of go over our picks. Last week, you went 3-3, and I went 2-5, I think, because I got double points.
Yeah,
so I got 2 points, you got 3 points if we want to just do it like that. But hopefully this week goes better for me, but I don't know. You got that magic on your side, Tanner.
Yeah.
McNamara Magic.
McNamara Magic.
So, yeah, thanks for watching this far in. If you made it this far in, we hope you enjoyed, and we hope this, helped you give a little bit better idea of the matchup coming up in the CyHawk rivalry. So, hit that subscribe, hit like. Anything else you want to tell them to do, Tanner?
No, that's it. That's what I always say. Subscribe.
Okay.
Let us know you care. There's that thumbs up.
Comment what you think the picks are going to be, by the way. Comment your own picks because we want to see. See you.